for itself.
I just started the recording. Hazel, did you want to elaborate on that?
I'm trying to pull it up. I'm trying to pull up the question actually. But it was more in, if I can remember, it was more about the models for the different models that ESE teacher may service. And my question, number three, it was
Question three.
number three. Yeah.
Lisa, are you?
About,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Miss Hazel, but Lisa, are you able to pull up the survey so that we can just look at it together, if you don't mind? That way, if we want to tailor or anything, we have it right in front of us.
it was question number 3, where it talked about selecting the different models. Let me just look and see here. You all see that?
Yes, we can see it.
All right. Let me just pull it up real quick. So basically, my concern was, I don't see, oh, here it is. It was basically talking about the different models. And my concern was that as the ESE teacher, you're depending on what your role is as that teacher. I was just thinking that that could be reworded to something maybe saying to select the different duties or tasks that you're responsible for as an ESE teacher, because in some cases as an ESE teacher, you may be doing at least 1, 2, 3, maybe in some cases, maybe all of those duties. So I know, it's with the exception of the general ed, I know in the past, ESE teachers also have had a general ed class that they had to teach. So instead of saying the models, I was thinking maybe that it could be reworded to the duties or the task, because as an ESE teacher, if you're doing ESE, you may be doing consultations. You may also be doing support. You may also be giving direct instruction in some cases. So it's not, I don't think that, I'm not sure why that word model is there, because those are all duties and responsibilities that's given to that ESE teacher in some capacity.
So the reason why we use model is because when you talk about services, there are different models of service. Direct instruction compared to support facilitation, compared to consultation, all have a different function. To your point, that function creates the duties and responsibilities based on the level of service that is documented on the IEP. Now, I'm open.
That's why I'm saying that as an ESE teacher, those are some of the things that they have to do. They may have to provide those services as a part of that model, because as far as a model support, push in as a support teacher, you may be pushing in or pulling out of a class. So those are part of the services and responsibilities of that ESE teacher.
So support facilitation is always in class. Direct instruction would determine that is either in the classroom or out. But the environment doesn't necessarily. So I guess the question is, for this particular question, what are we trying to capture here? Right here, it's basically what service models are you responsible for? And I say that plural because, to your point, Hazel, one VE teacher can provide consultation, support, facilitation, and direct instruction VE. Right. So this question is multiple select in that way, to be able to show all the different responsibilities that they're able to provide. Now, you're not going to, or I hope you don't get a teacher who does direct instruction ASD as well as support facilitation. That would be I guess that would be a very different scenario and an interesting master board to look at if that was the case. But the other thing,
You're talking about support though, Kevin.
I'm
I
talking about
guess-
services.
Well, services, but when you're talking about models you support, that's where I'm a little confused, and I don't know if anybody else is confused on that, because these are models that
So let's change support to services. Does that work?
support to services.
So select all the different models
that would
of
work. That's
services
better, services. If you're
in your
if
current
you're
role.
services or duties or tasks, that was my concern.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, if I may add, I was thinking the same, that maybe you could change it to level of services. Or
Yep.
as you said, Kevin, service models you are responsible for. So maybe word it that way. Does that sound better, Hazel?
Yep.
Kevin, I posted something up in the chat that is along the same line as to what Karen was just talking about. And it could change to different services
Yep.
or use different service models. Just a thought.
I think
Others
we're on
can
the
see that
same
in the
page.
chat as well.
Yeah. I think we're all aligned with this one. Thank you.
Yep, not a problem. Does that help out, Hazel?
Yeah, that was the only one that I saw, because all the other questions allowed a person to expound on whatever it is they're doing. So everything else is fine.
Kevin, are you talking to us? You're on mute.
I was actually thanking you, so thank you. It's easier when somebody gets it up and going and has a draft created. So I appreciate you doing that. It's easier for us to be able to massage it and wordsmith a little bit. So I appreciate everybody leaning into this. I have not sent it out yet. I wanted to make sure we were all on the same page, because when I send it, I'm going to mass distribute it. So I wanted to make sure that it's correct before I do that.
Yeah, I don't have any more questions.
So once, Kevin, maybe you can answer this question. Once we have all of the data back from these surveys, what are we going to do to really consolidate best practices? Do we want to talk about that as a collective? Because this is what's going to help us inform our decisions when we get to the negotiation table on both sides, and what recommendations we're going to make. So,
Well, I think we need to do that together. We'll all review the responses, possibly categorize them, and, because everybody's going to express their, recommendations in different ways, or how they define what they do in different ways. And, I'm sure there's going to be commonalities, and I think all of us together can recognize what they are and help summarize it to be able to come to a consensus of where we're landing as a group.
Lisa?
Yeah, I just wanted to share, because I know this was an issue that we kind of worked through to get valid responses. So do not collect email addresses. Do not collect email addresses are off, and we're limited to one response. So that way we know we're getting just one person and not multiple responses from people, to kind of keep it limited, I guess. Does that make sense? So Kevin, I know that was maybe part of the email is saying that we are not collecting email addresses. And I just wanted everybody to see that we made sure we did that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Karen.
I do have one more thing. When I looked at the Hazel shared it with me, there was one I wanted to know, what are you expecting? The last question, share barriers and areas of growth with your current case management system. So I can understand the share the barriers, but what are we looking for when we're asking them for areas of growth with their current management?
That's like room for improvement. Go ahead, Lauren. Where they would like to see growth. Because I
Yeah,
think
yeah, sorry, Lisa. I was just going to say, like, when we were talking about how I'd originally shared, like, I gave my teachers input on creating their own caseloads, like, responses like that. Like, I would like input in creating my own caseload. I would like to be assigned students that I work with, right? So those to me would be areas of growth that teachers can put there.
Could
It
it
was
be
the-
then should be areas for growth versus off growth? I'm not an ELA teacher, but yeah, but that was the only thing.
Sure. I think we were just trying to get them to give us some input on what
Right.
they would like to see, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, now that you explained it, I understand.
Now, our meeting today was really to collect the data. We were going to be reviewing the collected data and present the findings and perhaps have it even categorized and have a better visual as to, what's taking place at different school sites. Do we want to come back to the table? Let's get a date a little further out to allow us to get the surveys out, collect the data, disaggregate the data, do our own analysis before we bring it back to the table, and then have a better idea of, what our next steps will be. Are we good with that? Perfect. So let's do this. I'm going to look for a date on the calendar, and you guys give me a thumbs up, thumbs on, if it works. Obviously, I'll do what I can for the masses, but it's kind of difficult. Would you say that the first week of May, is that far enough out? That would give us 3 weeks from today. Or maybe
When is the survey going to go out again?
Today.
Today?
I would say today or tomorrow. Let's get it out as soon as possible.
So do you want to try to reconvene then the week of the 28th of April and try to get this joint study wrapped up by the end of April? I know that we have closeout duties for our respective departments and school sites, so I don't want to impede on that either. Tuesday, the 29th, thumbs up if that looks good for you. At 1 o'clock, we can do the same time. No, not at all, Kevin. Wednesday, the 30th. I can't see your thumb, but is that you up? Thumbs up? Okay. So Wednesday, the 30th, it is at 1 o'clock. Sounds good to everybody?
Yes.
I'll get the invite out, and hopefully by then we'll have this data collected, and we've had an opportunity to look at it with our respective teams before we bring it back to the table for everybody to review.
Are you sending this out with some kind of a deadline to report the data, so maybe it can be released to team members in advance of that meeting for a little bit of a first look?
Yeah. So Kevin, if you can just send that over as soon as you have it, that way we have a couple of days. Do you think that by the end of next week, the 25th?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the calendar. Let's say I get it out today, worst case scenario, first thing tomorrow morning. I'll give everybody till April 25th. You think is enough time for people to complete the survey?
It's a short survey.
On the survey.
I would say it needs to be done by close of business on the 25th.
Okay.
To allow an opportunity to basically, dump it into a spreadsheet, disseminate it no later than Monday, say 10 a.m. On the 28th. So there's a couple of days to kind of look at it for individuals that are on this team.
Sounds like a plan. Then that's what we'll do.
Lisa,
I mean,
any
if it's done
shot?
earlier, that's fine. I mean, some people, Kevin, like you and me, probably work 7 days a week, but
Lisa,
not that we want others to, so.
Can you add them to the spreadsheet of the survey results, so that way that Gordon and Justin at least can get an opportunity to review the data as it's coming in, and that way, whenever the opportunity presents itself on your end, Justin and Gordon, you can get a chance to look at it in real time as those results are coming in.
Yeah, a view-only status makes a little sense, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because just to remind that we're going into the testing season here at high school. So a lot of us have already have our test dates and on our calendar to do. So it will be good
Okay.
to do.
Well, I will go ahead and get that invite out immediately. And I want to thank you all again for taking the time out to be with us today and for everything you do every day.
Okay.
So have a good one. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.